Hello, folks. I am the Gothic Storyteller. I did not. I don't know if I disabled the audio, so I don't know if you guys were just hearing me pep talk myself. But I realized I sat there and I saw something moving. And I was like, I hope they can't fucking hear me. But welcome to Live with the Gothic Storyteller. I am your host, the Gothic Storyteller. Um, it's been about 2 weeks, a little over 2 weeks, and everything. I've like noticed it's like, oh hey, he hasn't gone live. He hasn't done anything outside of posting videos and everything. Last week we actually did. Wait, was it last week? No, not last week. The week before, actually. Really, wow. It's been almost 2 weeks. Tomorrow will be 2 weeks since our last video, which we cover Gothic horror in the new millennium. We cover Queen of the Damned and a few other really good modern classics. I wonder if some of the Anne Rice fans will come after me for saying Queen of the Damned is modern classic. Like, come on, you can't sit there and say the soundtrack is not at least a classic. If the film itself is, at least the soundtrack is actually worth its remembrance. But yeah, we're here to talk about the Gentleman of Horror, not just House of the Long Shadows. That will actually be our closer for the evening, because today again is going to be a very short stream. But Monday here, Memorial Day, if any of you guys celebrate that. But Monday here has been the craziest day. Like, my emotions were all over the place this morning, and then I got productive. Thank you, Cold Brew Coffee, for keeping me productive. And like, yeah, ever since then I've been working on the next videos, which I've been excited. If you guys haven't been keeping up with Daily Chapter actually, the Daily Chapter has actually dropped a couple of tidbits of information, that this is going to be my last stream for the time being. I will be taking a break in throughout all of June. I will be taking a break, so that's going to be 5 Mondays without me. I think you guys can last, because I will be dropping a video. Sadly, not numerous ones. Next month will be the last month. I just started jumping right into, in case if you weren't reading, here's the video spiel. But I don't care. This isn't a podcast. I don't even consider this part of the series. This is a live stream. So this is just where I get to ramble on like the old man on his front porch with his dog, and he's just rambling. But yeah, no, I next month is gonna be the last month, at least for this year, that I'm going to be doing only one video a month and everything. I kind of figured it's like, hey, if we're gonna try to sit there and get to this other half of YouTube partnership, I definitely want to kick in full gear. That's definitely been my biggest goal for this year, is to reach that achievement. And I also already have like the next 2 years kind of planned out. Where 2028 will practically be dominated by series that I'll be creating. I kind of needed to create those, like, years and years ahead of time. But yeah, June, it's gonna be the last time that we're in modern Gothic horror for Gothic horror of the 2010s. If you are a YouTube membership and everything, you guys can actually get that video right now. It's available right now. I decided last minute, when I released the 2000 video, I was like, you know what, like, I don't want to sit there and leave the YouTube membership people without a personal video for the time being. So anytime that, like, I drop one of the videos and everything, I'm like, you know what, YouTube membership can already get the next one. They earned it. Thank you guys again for the support. I really do appreciate my supporters out there, and I support all the supporters here. Those that maybe are just here just to watch the video, wonder what I'm rambling about, and of course, our communities that subscribe and share their wonderful stories in the comments below. People who interact with our community posts. I truly appreciate you guys. Like, without you guys, I would not be doing this. I probably would have quit after January, but I'm not. I didn't. I'm not stalling and everything. I just trying to get through everything. There is a new kind of subgenre I am looking to dip my toe into. We probably really won't sit there and see. Yeah, I don't think I have anything set for 2027, but 2028 though, I've started doing my research. This is Turner Classic Movies. Okay, so part of my voice is going to be blocked out, but this is Turner Classic Movies Dark City, The Lost World of Film Noir. This is expanded. Uh, yeah, what is it? Revised and expanded by Eddie Mueller. This has been an interesting read. It's definitely very dense. Welcome in, Rock. How are you doing? But yeah, this has been like a very dense read. But there's actually quite a bit of that I've seen Gothic and noir actually kind of cross over quite a bit, especially in cinema that kind of broke all out of the German expressionistic movement. And so I was like, you know what? Like, I really do like some noir stuff. I really, really want to expand upon that. So I am thinking in the near future, potentially also covering noir films. If you like that and everything, drop your thoughts down in the comments below. But how are you doing, Rock? You haven't missed much of anything outside of some of the news, but I think you've been following the community posts, so you're well informed on everything else. Uh, the Gentleman of Horror. So what exactly constitutes Gentleman of Horror? So again, like I kind of put all these groups together that I don't really sit there and think most people even look at as, I guess like a stable or a group or whatever. But when I think of the Gentleman of Horror, I definitely sit there and think about a lot of the actors that worked with Vincent Price, Peter Cushing, and Christopher Lee, as well as John Carradine. Those are four names that we're going to discuss in this very, very short stream today. We're gonna discuss right before we jump into their kind of forgotten Gothic crossover film that has like all four of these juggernauts and plus more. There is a female actress that's actually in it that I really wished I had a little bit more time looking into for like her whole back history, but all I know is that they called her the female Boris Karloff, which is interesting. But to me, the Gentleman of Horror for what we're gonna talk about today is John Carradine, Peter Cushing, Vincent Price, and Christopher Lee. You can also add to those lists Peter Lorre, Boris Karloff, Basil Rathbone, because again, we did cover a few weeks back for Vincent Price Night and everything. We covered a Comedy of Terrors, and that had like a lot of really good English actors and American actors that had worked together. I feel like I'm missing so many more. I don't know if you would consider Bela Lugosi and Lon Chaney Jr. as Gentlemen of Horror, but it's definitely that era that's kind of almost like post Universal, and these guys definitely carried the torch for horror throughout the 40s and 50s, which is kind of like the darkest period because the 30s had the boom. The 40s was the RKO, Val Lewton, psychological classic Gothics. The 50s, I would want to sit there and say that's the rise of Hammer. But really, Hammer doesn't kind of kick in until the later half of the 50s. So you have, the early part of the decade that we are going to cover later on this year with Gothic horror films of the decade. But yeah, we're going to jump right into our very first gentleman, which is John Carradine. And I actually really wish I had a whole lot more to sit there and say about this man. But he is a character actor known for playing villains of the time. He is famously known for playing Dracula in the House of Dracula and House of Frankenstein films for Universal. He would redon the Dracula mantle with Billy the Kid versus Dracula. I remember when I really started getting into Universal horror films and we started reaching House of Dracula and House of Frankenstein, which I never really understood those titles. And like, I kind of figured, okay, so House of Dracula, that's Castle Dracula. House of Frankenstein, that's Castle Frankenstein. I don't believe none of those films ever took place in those respected places. So if you know what is the meaning of those titles, drop it down in the comments below. Drop it down in the live chat. If you do, I would love to know. But anytime that Carradine came on as Dracula, I didn't get the grandness of it compared to what Lugosi did, which I think at that time, even though Lugosi didn't really play Dracula as what Dracula really was, he was still that very suave, smooth talking vampire that we all know and love. He's history. He was the one that did his best for his time to bring that novel to life from that character, when in the past we didn't really sit there and have too many. And it's kind of the same thing too when you say about Boris Karloff's Monster and Frankenstein, because if you look at the past, there's like 2 lost films, and then you have the Edison Frankenstein, which is a very interesting concept of its own. But when we look at the novel, we think of Bela Lugosi and Karloff as probably the better starting point for adaptation in literature. And I'm not going to throw Max Schreck's Count Orlok from Nosferatu in with Dracula, because I feel like that's a completely different character, loosely based off of Dracula, but Schreck takes that into a whole another realm. You guys will find out when the German Expressionism video drops for Gothic horror films of the decade. That'll be, let's see, I think August. Yes. God, my brain hurts. But yeah, but Carradine, though, I do feel like Carradine got way better. Is not really the got better in his old age, when I really started to appreciate a lot more of his stuff. He was probably one of the big reasons I enjoyed House of the Long Shadows. There's just something about him playing the patriarch of the entire family, of like all of these horror icon. He was essentially daddy. I think there's just some way of how he played it. Seeing him in Monster Club was a really, really interesting choice and everything, because for once he wasn't playing the villain, he was playing a journalist that is being interviewed by Vincent Price, who is a vampire. And so it's kind of nice to see Carradine hand the vampire mantle to someone else just for a film. And yeah, like he knows how to make you feel likable. And I really, really wish that I had a lot positive to say about Carradine. My very first time actually seeing him, though, was never Dracula. Dracula was not the first role. Neither was Monster Club, but he does have a very minuscule role in the movie The Sentinel that came out in 1977. Even with this face, which is pretty young compared to what he did for The Sentinel, he looked frightening. He definitely made an old priest with cataracts and just, I think he had some gray, but it looked like he was mostly white hair. But him being that iconic haunting face in the window that's like overlooking the apartment, I think that's where he probably frightened me the most. And it was a role that he didn't have to speak. He just stone face, kind of like this, I don't want to say sad, but very somber, very expressionistic, but without really a lot of work. It was just how he acted. It was his performance. He used the smallest bit for it. And so, yeah, he's not my favorite, but you know what? I can't sit there and say this man has not frightened me as a child, because he has. He's done his job as an actor in a horror film. He has frightened me. So now we're going to move on to the next character that actually gets introduced into House of Long Shadows. So what's up, horror historian? How you doing, homie? So I'm actually introducing these gentlemen as they're being introduced throughout the film. So there is a reason why I have this specifically. And there is a specific reason why I'm covering these older actors to close out May. And it's because actually tomorrow is Peter Cushing's birthday. The man would have been 113 years old if he was still kicking. You haven't seen this film in ages. It's an interesting film. We'll get into that towards the end of the live. But Peter Cushing, fantastic English actor, practically alongside Christopher Lee, carried the Hammer name alongside like all the filmmakers and the producers for Hammer. But I think when you think Hammer, you think of Cushing and Lee. Peter Cushing, of course, was known as Baron Frankenstein in the Frankenstein franchise, and Abraham Van Helsing, and a few appearances in the Dracula one. I think he played Abraham Van Helsing in the first 2 films, Dracula. I think it was called Horror Dracula here in America. And then The Brides of Dracula. and then he came back in Dracula 1979 AD. I want to say, um, yeah, I believe that was it. Right now, I'm like over here like looking at his IMDb, and they're giving Star Wars and Frankenstein. I'm all like, I was like Dracula. I'm looking for Dracula. Um, but oh, so he was in the sequel Dracula Prince of Darkness. So he was in multiple ones. So he was in Dracula, Brides of Dracula, uh, Dracula Prince of Darkness, and he was in Dracula AD 1972, and the Satanic Rites of Dracula. I only thought he probably had maybe 3 or so appearances. Apparently he's done 5 of these appearances, and we don't talk about Legend of Seven Golden Vampires because that's technically not a Dracula film with Christopher Lee in it. I've kind of pushed that film off because I've actually finally got a chance to watch it, and I was like, this is terrible. I understood it was trying to reach the Kung Fu demographic and bring them into the horror fold. This was not the film for that. I'm sorry. This was Hammer just throwing everything at the wall and seeing what sticks. But either way, I know like a lot of modern people will probably sit there and know Cushing as Grand Moff Tarkin in Star Wars. But there were other roles that Peter Cushing also did that you may not have known. He played one of the doctors in Doctor Who, with Doctor Who versus the Dialects. I'm trying to find it and everything. I do believe, yeah, it is Doctor Who and the Dialects and the Dialects Invasion Earth 2150 AD. So he did 2 films back to back yearly. You didn't watch that one? Glad I haven't. Yeah. I think you can live without watching the 7 Golden Vampires. I do remember seeing the very first Doctor Who and the Dialects. This was when I was kind of getting into Doctor Who and trying to explore. Some of the modern shows I can't get into. I don't know if it's just because it's so out there for me, or maybe it's my moods. I've had it where I've watched some really good films that I was not in the mood to fully absorb that message, and I'm like, this is terrible. And then I watched them years later. I was like, this is great. What the fuck was I thinking? Sometimes it's all mood, but I really enjoyed him as the Doctor. I don't ask me which one or which number Doctor he was. All I know was he did the movies, but some people say that doesn't count because those movies were not, I guess, good enough for the Who fandom. I have no clue, but he also did Sherlock Holmes. He did the Hounds of Baskerville as Sherlock Holmes, and I have actually been told that his version of the Hounds of Baskerville is the best adaptation of the novel. I'll debate that when I finally review that, which I know some of you guys in the community have wondered, oh, love to sit there, see you cover the Hounds of Baskerville. Would love to see you cover This Beast Must Die. I like it that you guys have obviously picked two of them, or quote unquote werewolf movies that have Peter Cushing in there. I'm all like, you know what? I'll do it. I love Peter Cushing and I love werewolf movies. So yeah, that's pretty much it. As for favorite movies of Cushing, if I had to pick a favorite Frankenstein film that Peter Cushing did, I like Frankenstein Created Woman. And it was a unique twist that instead of him doing the same old of like the first film, it was, I'm going to create life through numerous dead body parts and it's going to be a whole brand new life. And then in the second film, The Revenge of Frankenstein, it was more about brain transplants, and if you can transplant, personality, everything from the brain, because obviously the brain is more the conscious and kind of where the personality of the person is, it's in there. When we finally get to Frankenstein Created Woman, it, believe it or not, doesn't feel like a science fiction horror film, but it feels like a spiritual horror film, because Cushing's Baron Frankenstein is all about transferring the human soul. And in that one, you have a male figure that is ostracized by his village, who in turn, after getting revenge on some bullies that had killed his love interest's father, he ends up being the one put to blame for it, and he gets his head cut off. And Cushing is able to take the woman that quote unquote unalived herself through the river. He takes the soul of the beheaded man and puts it in the body of the woman and makes her beautiful again. So he takes away her disfigurement, and he puts her lover's soul within. And from there on, the rest of the film is kind of like an I Spit on Your Grave, just not nearly as gratuitous. And there is this battle of the souls of, like, you know, you have two very strong souls, souls of lovers that you would possibly sit there and think that they would get along with each other, but they don't. And there's like this never-ending war going on that essentially, once the spirit of the boyfriend, his revenge is over, his spirit passes on, and all you have is kind of like the sadness and melancholic side of the woman who just doesn't want to live anymore after she's committed these horrible crimes, and essentially takes care of herself like she did previously. And it's one of the Frankenstein films where, one, the Baron is not a psychotic sociopath murderer. He more or less just took advantage of the situation to get his bodies. But it almost kind of feels like at the end of it, it almost feels like he obviously gave up on that personal project, but it almost seemed like he gave up entirely in his pursuit, because he decided to, instead of go straight science, to, I guess, use pseudoscience, which I guess is where the spiritualness comes from. He kind of like knew, well, this is a project failed. I'm just going to walk away. I should have left this be to begin with. And it's very, very weird, because it almost seems like the Baron had turned over maybe like a new leaf or something. And you're like, is this the end of it? Like, he seems very much old and defeated. Hi, Jessica. How are you doing? Lovely. He feels very much defeated. And then the next film, he's like, he is a slasher film with Frankenstein Must Be Destroyed. He's like over here just chopping people's heads off in the middle of the street, even though the streets are empty. It turns into a slasher film, and I'm all like, this is a total 180, but I still enjoy Frankenstein Created Woman. I think that's actually a really, really good film. And if you haven't seen it, I just freaking spoiled the whole film for you, but maybe you'll forget it. But we're about halfway through this lineup, Jessica, but we're about to tackle your favorite gentleman of horror. And that being Vincent Price. Also, too, I didn't ask beforehand, what's your favorite John Carradine film for watching? I apologize. And what's your favorite Peter Cushing film? You know, drop those down either in the live comments or drop them down in the comments below. I would love to go back and read those. Vincent Price is born May 27th. So his birthday is actually on, Wednesday. And again, another reason for me to talk about Price. I love Price, and why not the week of his birthday? You guys may know Vincent Price for his collaboration work with Roger Corman, independent filmmaker, director, producer, screenwriter. He worked alongside many other talented folks. Most importantly, Vincent Price, when he did the post-saga trilogy, or the post-cycle from 1960 to 1964, which was a collection of House of Usher, Pit and the Pendulum, Tales of Terror, The Raven. Ooh, I'm using my brain here. I'm trying to remember what came after The Raven. Jessica, can you help me out here? I want to sit there and say I think it was Mask of the Red Death, and then Tomb of Lygia. I think I got it. I think they were all 6 films. There's been like a few of them that kind of get thrown in there, like Comedy of Terrors and The Haunted Palace, which is more of a Lovecraft than a Poe. But hopefully, I think I got it. It's like 6 films, and some people kind of add some of the other ones. But if you don't know him for those films, and you may know him earlier for such films by William Castle, like House of Wax, which was the first 3D film. House on Haunted Hill. How can I forget? That's Jessica's favorite. House on Haunted Hill. The Tingler. And I think he did 13 Ghosts. I could be incorrect on that one. I know that like William Castle didn't always work with Price, but the other three films that I mentioned, those are like his big ones. So you kind of know him from that. You may have also known him previously before that with films like Dragonwyck and The House with Seven Gables. I think he also had a bit role in Rebecca, if I remember correctly. I didn't go do super deep dive on Vincent Price's filmography. I read his autobiography, and you figured I would know. But favorite Vincent Price film, that's hard. I can't deliver a favorite I can't give a favorite Vincent Price film without really breaking up. You don't believe he was in 13 Ghosts? Okay, I'll take your word on it, because yeah, like 13 Ghosts, I only watched it once, and I'm like, I think I prefer the remake. That's one of the very few times I'm like, I think I prefer the remake over this. Welcome in, John Durham. Richard III, that's right. He did play Richard III. Thank you. That one's a crown jewel. House could be thought of as a dynasty or a family, though as a title, I'm still not sure how it works. But it's been so very long since I've seen either of those films. Okay, I'm taking you are referring to House of Dracula and House of Frankenstein, I believe. Remake had Matthew Lillard, so unbiased. I love Matthew Lillard, though. He makes it so good. I love it. But either way, if I had to pick a favorite Vincent Price film from just the two filmmakers that I have here on my card, if it's from the Poe stuff, I think I still love House of Usher. I think it's the perfect one. Haunted Hill is my favorite from Price. I would probably say House on Haunted Hill is probably my favorite from the William Castle bunch. I really enjoyed that one, and probably next to it, I would say The Tingler and then House of Wax. I apologize, God, my nose is really itchy today. But welcome in, John. Welcome in. But yeah, I would sit there say it like, and if we start looking for the Poe films and the William Castle films, there is a film that actually does have Peter Cushing in it. God, there is a film that does have Peter Cushing in it, which I feel like not a lot of people watch. And I have no clue if I mentioned this previously on the previous live streams, but Madhouse. I love Vincent Price, yes, playing an actor who is like this horror host kind of character that he's known for. And his young, soon-to-be wife is murdered, and he has this full mental breakdown. He's kind of blamed for it, and he goes into an asylum, and he comes back years later, and they're gonna remake the Dr. Death movies, and they're bringing him in it, but they're gonna supposedly kill him off and reintroduce a new Dr. Death, which is supposed to be a woman. And so it's kind of like a film that talks about legacy, and I really feel like that's a movie that I think really hits the nail on the dot with how a lot of horror icons kind of felt when they got older. I think it's an amazing film. It does well. I think if you enjoy Theater of Blood, you'll probably enjoy Madhouse. And Peter Cushing's phenomenal in it, because he plays the screenwriter that created Dr. Death, and he initially wanted to play it because he was an actor as well. And Peter Cushing wanted this, but Vincent Price's character gets the role. And so he's having to see his dreams be lived out through another actor. And I'm not going to spoil the ending, but it's a really, really good, underrated, I think it's 1980 or 1979. I want to sit there and say, I am actually looking that one up because, again, it's one of his really big classics. Oh, so I'm completely wrong. It actually came out in 1974. 1974. God, I am off on my year dates today. But yeah, Vincent Price, Natasha Pine, Peter Cushing, Robert Quarry, Adrian Corey, and Linda Hayden. It was based off of a 1960 novel called Devil Day by Angus Hall. But yeah, I truly enjoy. I really enjoy that film. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's called Madhouse, not the Madhouse, but Madhouse, and I do believe it's possibly still on Tubi. So if you're here in the States, Tubi is your best bet. I would probably say go check out YouTube elsewhere. Maybe you guys will actually have that. But moving on, we have our final gentleman of horror to discuss very briefly, and that is Sir Christopher Lee. Do I really need to give an introduction to what was, I think, the last living descendant of royalty? He was a Nazi hunter. He was Count Dooku. He was Dracula. He was the very first Hammer monster for the Frankenstein series. Saruman the White, if I believe so, in the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit. The man had a death metal, like a death metal album, like release, I think like a couple of years before his death. This man did everything. He was a Bond villain. Man with the Golden Gun, if you specifically want to know which one. And he's also, too, along with Vincent Price, he's one of the few classic horror actors that actually also got to work with, I would say, the modern day Gothic director, Tim Burton. But yeah, Christopher Lee, Count Dracula, Dooku, Saruman. I think I like listening to a lot of Christopher Lee stories about his time working on the Lord of the Rings set. He did have an album come out, and it's amazing. I have yet to actually listen to it. Believe it or not, I'm a big Christopher Lee fan. I have not listened to his music. So I should change that. I should change that and not be a poser. But yeah, no. The man commands your attention anytime he's on screen. No matter if it's a small role or a big one, he has that thundering voice. And he's definitely the last of... He's the last of his type of actor. He's the last of the English actor that had also, I believe, went through the theater. And this coming Wednesday would have also been Christopher Lee's 104th birthday, if he was still with us. He passed away back in 2015 at the age of 93. And God, that's been 11 years ago. Come next week, it'll be 11 years. That's sad. But you guys have, I think a lot of people in the modern day definitely have seen him through Tim Burton's work. They've seen him through Sleepy Hollow. He has a bit role in Corpse Bride. I feel like I'm missing one more that he has done, but I think a lot of people know him for his Hammer work and Lord of the Rings, and of course Star Wars. I think I don't really sit there and think that there needs to be a lot said about Lee. I am sorry, my nose is bothering me. I don't know why. I've taken my allergy meds today. But yeah, we're gonna move on because again, I do want to keep this stream short because my evening is fully booked up. My thoughts on House of the Long Shadows. So this is based on a book. An American author finds a dilapidated Welsh manor perfect for writing until the residents host a bizarre family reunion. This was based on the Seven Keys of Baldpate, which is the name of the manor, Baldpate Manor, by Earl der Biggers. Try saying that name 5 times fast. It was adapted into a famous play that gave birth to the turn of several films. I definitely feel like this film comes off as Old Dark House. If you haven't seen that James Whale film, it has the vibe of it. There is strangers coming into a weird dilapidated manor in which there's a secret being held up in the attic, and there is this very odd acting family. Believe it or not, I actually really need to look up Old Dark House to make sure. I don't know why I did not think about this. Let's see where it was based on. Okay, it was based on Benighted by J.B. Presley. That's the James Whale one, so it's not based on the same novel, but they share similar structure and ideologies of the haunted house. Wikipedia and IMDb label it as just a straight horror film, but it's not. It's more of a mystery comedy. Because with every gentleman of horror that pops in, there's always something kind of ridiculous going on. The writer is just trying to sit there and write. He has so many different people coming in that are distracting him, so he fails in this deal of he gets paid this large sum of money if he can get a manuscript written in 24 hours that would rival Wuthering Heights and other Gothic films. And that main character would be played by Desi Arnaz Jr., who is forgettable. I don't really think that I've ever watched a Desi Arnaz Jr. film and thought, wow, that was really good. If you're a fan, I apologize, but I'm like, I don't. Yeah, no, I don't see nothing in it. I think this film is only really watchable just to see these four icons together. I kind of really wish that Basil Rathbone and Peter Lorre would be alive, maybe Boris Karloff, to join into this film. But sadly, they're not. And excuse me. It's an okay film. I think I gave it 3 stars on Letterboxd. I didn't even bother writing up a review for it. But yeah, it's I feel like this film is a traditional old dark house story that reminds us why we love the icons of horror. But if only the story was actually good. I think the only reason that this film is lived on is, for one, Christopher Lee calls Vincent Price a bitch. Yeah, no, can't think of any other moment. I feel like that moment right there is the only reason to watch this film. And I've seen clips online of people just posting, that Christopher Lee is so classy that even calling Vincent Price a bitch sounds so elegant. And I can agree to that because when I also have listened to Christopher Lee do the audiobook for The Exorcist, anytime he swears and says, uh-oh, what happened? Said chat disconnected and we got reconnected. Ooh. What's going on? I don't think I lost internet. Are we still live? Yeah, we're still live. Yeah, no, that was weird. It's saying that I am live, but that was weird. But yeah, no, I would sit there say if you haven't seen it, I don't want to deter you from not watching this film. It's at least worth one watch. It does build up a lot of suspense. I do want to sit there and mention the actress here right before. Her name is Sheila Keith. She plays the sister. Because what we end up figuring out throughout this whole story plot line is that everyone in some form is a relative. They're either a brother, a sister, and Sheila is the only sister. Sheila Keith is the only sister in this, and she has been referred to as the female Boris Karloff. She has been acting ever since 1969, so she kind of came in a little bit late, but she was kind of known for a spin of a few horror films that she had done called House of Whipcord, Frightmare, House of Mortal Sin. I don't think The Comeback. Oh yeah, The Comeback is a psychological horror slasher. And yeah, like calling her the female Boris Karloff and a British horror icon is really interesting because there's not a whole lot to really go off of it. So to be given that title and you've only done a few films to begin with, because Ooh, You Are Awful is a British comedy, and her first film, It All Goes to the Show, is another short comedy film. And then she just jumped straight into the horror stuff. She did a few dramas, went back to more comedies. I think one is like a science fiction film, and some fantasy. She definitely had a very short-lived career. Oh, never mind. So this is where I become an ass. She's mostly known, I'm guessing, for television. She has a lot of TV credits. And her final TV one was Dr. Terrible's House of Horrible. Which is a parody of Amicus Productions' anthology film Dr. Terror's House of Horrors. Interesting. Did not know that. So she was a TV actress. I was like wondering, it's like they give her this title, but her filmography is so short. So she's a television actress. That's pretty much it that I really have to say. I don't really want to sit there and shit on this film, but there are there are some really good, decent moments. There's some really big moments that I feel like the film should have capitalized on it, but I have no clue what the screenwriter was trying to do, what the director wanted the direction to this, because again, they treated it like it's a very serious horror film, but obviously there are moments of this film where you just laugh. So yeah, I'm very much curious with what the filmmakers had in mind for this. I don't know how much of this got changed from their original vision. I feel like maybe I should have dived a little bit deep in here, but again, I've been busy, so I do apologize. But yeah, no, I'm gonna have to do a deep dive. I'm gonna have to sit there and see what happened to this film, because having a film with Vincent Price, Christopher Lee, Peter Cushing alone by itself should have sold very, very well. Like back in the day in the 60s when Karloff did films with Laurie and Price. Those sold, especially if you threw in Basil Rathbone. Oh man, you were in for it. We are going to wrap it up again for this very messy stream. I'm not even going to apologize. It's like, it is what it is. Thank you guys again for being here. Thank you guys again for the support. Again, I will be back in July. I'm taking June off and everything from live streams. I will throw in a poll here in the next couple of days, and I will let you guys within a week actually do a vote to figure out what my return stream will cover for you guys. With that being said, join the Discord. This is going to be the first time I actually drop the Discord link. If I can actually get the the server link here going. So definitely join the Discord if you are not a member of the Discord. I will try to remind myself also to drop a link down below after this video is done, so that you guys can join. We ended up tightening the security just to kind of keep the trolls and the bots out and everything, but you guys are more than welcome to. I generally post the constant reader daily chapter always in there. I always keep you guys updated for posts, and I think we have a really, really nice chilled, laid back community that shows their love for horror, for gothic horror, for practically anything. Thank you guys again for being here. Follow me at the socials, Instagram, like, comment, subscribe over on YouTube, join the YouTube membership so you guys get my videos early. I do know that June 9th is when the new Gothic video will drop, and then you guys won't see another Gothic video until July 7th, if I believe so. I'm not going to pull out my Excel spreadsheet because I'll be here all day detailing that to you guys, and I think that would probably be too boring in a video. But you guys have a wonderful evening, and I'll catch you guys all next time. See you guys all later.